Today's conversation is sponsored by First Generation Capital Partners. If you're an accredited investor and you want to know about how we're helping other accredited investors keep more of their income, go to firstgencp.com/going long.
The long story short, we ran into a lot of delinquencies in Shreveport, and we made one major mistake. It was market research. So if I could go back and learn something about real estate that the books don't tell you, is how to properly research a market.
You're listening to the Going Long podcast with Billy Keels, the #1 podcast for long-distance real asset investing.
Welcome to the Going Long podcast. We're back once again to continue to help to educate you so you feel much more comfortable as well as confident investing beyond your backyard. And yes, I am your host, Billy Keels, and I am really, really ready to welcome you back to today's conversation. It's another awesome one. You're going to love it. You're investing your time once again in an amazing conversation that's going to help you get the golden nuggets that you need to continue to move closer to your goals so that you can get there much, much faster. So, and I also want to thank you once again because we continue to move up the charts. Literally week after week, we're moving up the charts, which I think is phenomenal because you continue to be here. You continue to download episodes. You continue to share the episodes, which is phenomenal. Talking about them even better because that helps you to gain not just confidence, not just comfort, but also experience, which is fantastic. And so for those of you who have not had a chance to help by leaving your honest written review as well as rating, that's why we continue to move up the charts. If you want to do that, listen, we made it really simple for you. Just click the link. It's here. It tells you how to go and leave that on the Apple Podcast platform. It should be really simple for you and just takes a couple seconds. And also, we really would appreciate the input, things that you like, things that you'd like to see change. You've seen the changes that are happening to the podcast. It's really to bring you more value every single day. And so with that, I know a lot of you wanted to find every single episode. We've made it super simple for you as well. You want to find all the episodes, just go to firstgencp.com/podcasts, and you can find every single podcast that we've ever done, video version, audio version, transcripts, all that kind of stuff, and even the new graphics, which looks phenomenal. Really, really excited about that. So check it out. It's great. firstgencp.com/podcasts, and you'll be able to find every single episode ever. Listen, today's conversation is another one. It's an awesome one. We have a neighbor from the north, a Canadian who has made the U.S. his home down in Louisiana, has had an amazing experience, been able to realize childhood dreams. Also along the way, realize that, hey, listen, dreams can change, things can change, and has not been afraid to pivot. Someone who's continuing to add value, following a passion where he's been a part of baseball, and that's something he continues to do. And also adding loads of value to people or investors in the multifamily space. So it's great. Really like this guy's story. Very genuine. Really tells you like it is. And so it's a great conversation we're going to get with Brandon Magierowski, and we're going to get to that just after this. Are you a busy, high-paid professional? Someone that in the previous 2 years has earned $200,000 and is expected to earn $200,000 this year? Or maybe if you filed jointly, previously you've earned $300,000 the previous 2 years and you're also expected to do that this year. Or maybe if not, either individually or jointly, you have $1 million in net worth, not including your primary residence. If you meet any of these criteria, then you're someone that the IRS considers to be an accredited investor. That probably means you're someone like an enterprise software sales executive. You may be an executive in a major corporation. You may be a doctor. You may be a lawyer, maybe a high-paid consultant. You may even work for a major sports franchise. The thing I know you have in common is that you continue to do the hard work. Like you're doing 100% of the work and you're only bringing home 50% of the reward because you continue to get crushed by your income taxes. If you are tired of this situation and you're looking for a new solution, then go to firstgencp.com/going long. When you get there, that's going to help you to start the journey so that you can begin to take back control of your taxes, take control of your time. And then also that means you're going to be able to spend more of the time that you want with the people that you love the most. And that is the way that you're going to get the personal freedom that you're looking for. So if you're looking to take back control, go ahead and go to firstgencp.com/going long and see how we can help you today. So if you want to understand how big league dreams combined with talent and taking massive action can lead to your long distance investing success, then guess what? Today's the conversation you're going to want to listen to until the very last word, like the very last word, I promise. You know why? Because today's guest not only has been a lifelong lover of sport, he also has a strong focus on building quality relationships. And this is at the core of this gentleman's philosophy. Trust me, you're going to feel it. He's also, listen to this, was assistant coach of a Division I baseball program. I really want to hear about this. He's also today the co-host of the Guerrilla State Investing. He's also the CEO of 2D Sports and the managing partner at Real Focus Capital. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome to today's conversation, Mr. Brandon Magierowski. Brandon, welcome to the show, man.
Billy, thanks for having me, man. Excited to be here.
Oh, man. I love your energy, man. It's like, I don't know how you can be more positive, man. This guy's got a great smile, great energy. It's fantastic. So no, I'm really looking forward to today's conversation. I've appreciated our pre-conversation. And here's the thing, Brandon, we talked about this before, but every guest, and today you're our special guest, gets 5 questions. You're going to get 2 in the beginning. You're going to get 3 in the end. Oh, actually, you're going to get more than 5 questions because in the middle, you're going to get a lot of questions. I just don't know what those questions are yet, but we'll get to those eventually, I'm sure. So if you're ready, man, I'd like to jump in and just ask you question number 1, which is help us understand where you live in the U.S.
I currently live in Shreveport, Louisiana. It's the northwest corner of the state, right along the East Texas border.
All right. Fantastic. So Shreveport, been there myself. I used to live in Houston, Texas many years ago. So we forgot to talk about that, but we'll chat about that later. Second question, Brandon, help us understand, man, what's the most positive thing that's happened to you in the last 24 hours?
The most positive thing was that I got up for 6:30 workouts for the first time in a couple of weeks. So right now it's a very, very busy time for our baseball company, Billy, and something's got to give. And usually it's the workouts that give, but I don't know if you exercise or the guests, listeners exercise, but it's how you build mental strength. It builds confidence and it just gives you a sense of accomplishment. And I actually executed that back-to-back days, 6:30 workouts, and I'm going to keep rolling for the next few weeks on it until I have to travel again. Awesome, man. Awesome.
So I appreciate you sharing that with us. And yes, exercise helps to not only get the body right, get the mind right, and builds that discipline muscle. So appreciate you sharing that. Listen, Brandon, here's the thing, and I know we just met, but one of the things that I have this tendency to be known for is a person that holds himself to a really high standard. And sometimes that makes me do things that are a little bit irrational. And that's something like trying to tell your entire life backstory in 2.5 seconds, right? Because I tried to tell it earlier. It's not possible. It's impossible, right? But I try because, that's what I want to do. But hopefully you'll forgive me for trying to do that, but I wanted to at least make somewhat of an impact. But the thing is, I need your help because I really would love for you to tell your own backstory in your own words in more than 2.5 seconds, number 1. And then also, if you could help us by sharing some of the major decisions that you've made to get to this point in your journey, and then we'll see where you and I take the conversation from there.
Sure. Sounds good, man. So I tell people I'm living the American dream. Don't let anyone tell you that it's not alive, because I came from Canada. That's where I'm originally from. I came down to play baseball in 2004. I got recruited down on a scholarship to play in Shreveport. Ended up playing 3 years, met the woman of my dreams there. We actually moved back to Canada for 2. So our plan was, once I was done playing, I was going back up north to make a life and have a family, and I was bringing her with me. 2 years into that, I got a call from the head coach of the school I played at and said, "Hey, I want you to come back and coach." And at that point in my life, I knew I was going to be a college baseball coach. That's what I was going to do. So I said, "Hey, let's pack up the U-Haul." And we drove, me and her and our cat. We drove from Canada all the way to Shreveport, which is about a 32-hour drive in a U-Haul with no cruise control. It was a very, it was a very tough ride, to say the least. But yeah, so my plan was to come back 2 years, coach. They were going to pay for my master's degree. I took a master's in business. And then I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I figured, there'd be more college coaching opportunities. Mm-hmm. I coached for 2 years and quickly realized, similar to my playing career, that this was the end. When I was playing, I was a good college player, but it wasn't going to go past that. And then when I became a coach in my second year, I figured out the same path was, this is not the path for me. It's very little pay. It's a long road to be a college baseball coach, to make it to the higher levels. I'm going to do something different. What was that at that point? I didn't know. I finished my master's degree. I finished coaching, and I met a guy in the state that was running baseball tournaments. And this kind of leads to the 2D Sports Baseball, we created that in 2014. Met a guy running tournaments. We hit it off. We had the same mindset, the same vision. And we started what is now 2D Sports Baseball. We started with 5 events in the state of Louisiana. We do over 100 events across 10 states now. Wow. And that's my full-time job. I'm the CEO of the company. And along that path, I found real estate. So there's a guy inside of 2D Sports Baseball, one of the partners that was doing real estate in Panama City Beach. He was doing some short-term rentals. He wouldn't stop bragging about how much cash flow he had and passive income and tax benefits. And all I knew is that I sold I bought my residence. I sold it, made a profit. Bought another one, sold it, made a profit. Said, hey, this can be profitable, but there's got to be more to this. So I said, hey, Ramsey, let me know what I got to do to get in with you on this. And he gave me 2 books to read, Rich Dad Poor Dad and then a real estate book. I read them both in a week. I said, all right, I'm ready. And we bought our first 2 deals 6 months after having that conversation with him. I bought a 3-unit and a 6-unit, small apartments in Louisiana here. And that kind of got the light bulb on for us. We started rolling together. We started doing education seminars together. We went to Neil Bauer's boot camp up in San Diego, the multifamily university, to figure out how to syndicate apartments. We picked up another partner along the way named Joey Bickham. And today we've done a few large apartment deals along with a couple smaller deals, joint ventures together. And I continue to be the CEO of the 2D Sports Baseball company, but my side hustle and a real passion of mine is this real estate, because I understand the benefits of the passive income, the tax benefits, everything we talked about pre-show, Billy, about the benefits of a real estate and the reason that people are listening to this show.
Man, I love the, I love I love a lot of the things that you said. And yeah, people are listening to the show because they really want to hear and learn from experts like yourself, who are also on that path to becoming, which I think is something that you've been very open, transparent about, which I appreciate. Mm-hmm. And Brandon, when you were talking earlier, so I like to listen for patterns and principles and patterns, right? And one of the things that you mentioned, there was a clear pattern early on. Like you realized that you had a passion for playing baseball. You had the opportunity to play at a Division I program, which is a pretty good program, by the way. And so having that opportunity, and then going back north and then driving 32 hours, which is just unbelievable, by the way. No cruise control. I like that. Being able to be there and also having your cat there. I think that's awesome. But then you got the chance to coach and you recognize a similar pattern and you were like, well, hang on, this is not for me either. And you kind of highlighted a little bit that it was a long road. So maybe it took a long time to get to where you ultimately wanted to be. But what was it about? Because I think there are a lot of different factors that can come into play. And what you did is very strong. A lot of people don't do this, Brandon, but you recognized that it was the end of the line. And rather than just going through the time and however long it was going to take, you were bold enough to say, look, I got to this point and I need to do something else. But 2 things. What was it about that particular role, which was part of a childhood dream, that you said, not going to do it? And then what were some of the other elements that were taking into effect aside from just the length of time it would take to get to the ultimate goal where you would have wanted to be?
Well, that's what you just hit on the head. It's the time, right? The time it would have took for me to go down the path of college coaching to actually make it to a program where I'm actually making a livable wage for my family. Gotcha. And we're having some success and some financial freedom. That's such a long, long path for a lot of baseball coaches, a lot of sports coaches in general. And I could see it in my peers that were going through it. They were a few years ahead of me and they were already going down that path. They're moving across the country. They're making $30,000 a year to do this job and this job. And there's so much turnover. Then they're picking up and moving again. And I just made the decision that that's not the life I want to live. I love the sport of baseball. It's done more for me and my family than any sport could ever do. The people that I've met, the people that I played with, the coaches, the leadership, the network I've built, can't replace it. But I think people make a huge mistake when they don't have the courage to pivot, that they say, this is my dream and this is the only path that I'm going on, no matter how long it takes, without, they get the tunnel vision. You got to look to the side and look for opportunities that, I love baseball. I wasn't going to be a baseball coach, but I still make my living in baseball by starting a business inside of baseball, which has led me to connect with people inside of real estate, which then I pivoted and said, hey, I'm going to do real estate as well. So the tunnel vision that people create for themselves, all of a sudden they blink and it's 40 years and they're doing the same thing they did 40 years ago. And they go, damn, I wish I would have took a little bit of risk here and there. And I took a risk. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was going to start a business. I don't know how I was going to start it, but I knew that I could do it. And I knew if I found the right people that we wouldn't make $1 million year one, but we could, there was a light at the end of the tunnel to make that $1 million or to make that, to create some financial freedom. And fast forward 8 years from when we started the company. I mean, we're killing it right now, but it took a long time to get to this point.
So I appreciate you talking about that, just to play that back to you. So there's this whole element of it was going to take a long time. I love that you were able to quantify that. So, and just to give people a ballpark, like you're traveling all over the place, you're earning 30 grand, you're doing this, doing that, and it could take you, 15, 20 years to on that kind of a salary potentially, which didn't work for you, which I appreciate you helping us to understand that more. The other thing that you said just now, at least I understood you to say, was that, build this $1 million business. My question is, because I think at the end you kind of changed it a little bit. Does it really take $1 million to be financially free?
No. Yeah. Well, because here's the myth in business is they say we made $1 million. Well, your net's probably 10% of that. So,
so I don't normally clap on the show, but yeah, it was just so bold because that's honest. That's yeah. Hang on, I don't think I can drop my microphone because it's attached here to the thing.
It's not about being a millionaire. My partner Ramsey says it. I can give you $1 million today, and you go buy a Coke, and you're not a millionaire anymore. It's not about being a millionaire. It's about creating more time for you and your family. It's about trading your money for time, not your time for money. That's what a big part of what we're doing inside of Real Focus. And we started a Facebook group called From Middle Class to Millionaire. And we've got over 2,500 members in a couple months, and we're going to grow it. But that's the whole premise of it, is to bring in these middle class mindsets and show them how they can start trading their money for time. And just imagine what you could do with an extra 10 hours a week, right? That's what people think. They just work 9 to 5, they get the weekends off. That's not the only way. Yep. It's not. We know that, but 80% of the country doesn't.
Yeah. No. And I appreciate that you share that. And it is so true, right? Because there's this $1 million dream, and it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much you keep. And then to your point, are you using that financial capital to provide yourself with time freedom so that you can invest in the things that are important, i.e. relationships, i.e. Your own physical and mental health and things like that. So I love your perspective on that. So one of the other things that I'm curious about, right? Because we talked about you. So you're a brother from Canada, right? Brother to the north. You've called Louisiana. I've got a good buddy of mine from high school who lives there as well. You call that home today, right? Which is fantastic. And one of the things that we talk about here on the show, like this is the Going Long podcast. So one of the things that we talk about is, like, I used to read all these books, Brandon, and the book said, be a landlord, earn $200-300 a month. That was awesome to me because I was like, I'm tired of the stock market. Do not want to play this anymore. This is predictable. And they said, you need to go be close to your place and be a landlord. And I was like, okay, well, that seemed cool. But then when I tried to apply that here where I live in Barcelona, Spain, none of that worked. It was like negative cash flow. I didn't know enough at the time. But I've gained more education, better network and stuff like that. So you start to understand the different types of locations or different types of markets, et cetera, et cetera. So that's part of the question, just the setup. But the reality is you live in Louisiana. But from what I understand of your company today, you don't just invest exclusively in Louisiana, or maybe you don't invest at all in Louisiana. But if so, like if you dare to invest beyond your backyard, I want you to share with us, because that's what this whole thing is because to me, this is very contrarian because it goes against what 90% of the books tell you to do. So what is it that allows you or gives you the gumption to say, you know what, I'm not going to invest in Louisiana. I'm going to invest in the Southeast of the United States or the Midwest or whatever?
Because the city I live in is not an investable city. And I learned that the hard way. Those two properties that we bought, those first two properties we bought were in Shreveport. I read the same books you did, Billy. Invest in your own backyard, manage the property yourself. Don't pay that 10% management fee. You can cash flow $300 to $500 a month. Go buy 9 of them, and you're making $4,000 a month. It's like, cool. Let me go buy one. Yep. And all of a sudden, I was managing myself. I was spending 20 hours a week trying to figure that place out, making repairs. I learned a lot.
Yep.
And without that property, going south a little bit on me, I would have never went to the Neil Bauer boot camp. I would have never said, what did I do wrong? If that property would have went perfect, I probably would have followed that book and just kept buying 8 or 9 of them. But instead, what we found, and here's the recipe for disaster in Shreveport, Louisiana: high crime rate, low job growth. High crime rate, low job growth. If your crime rate's trending up and your job growth is trending down, that's a recipe for disaster. Now, is there money to be made in this city? Yeah, but it's not going to be by me, because I'm trying to go with bigger, larger multifamily in bigger metros where job growth is striving, crime rate is lower, is reducing over since 2000 based off the census data. But long story short, we ran into a lot of delinquencies in Shreveport, and we made one major mistake. It was market research. So if I could go back and learn something about real estate that the books don't tell you, is how to properly research a market. Because investing in your backyard might sound good, but if you live in a terrible area for investing, don't do it, because you're gonna learn it the hard way.
Yeah, and so this is great, the way that you break that down, right? So it's about being, number one, having the clear focus in terms of what you want to be able to do, why you want to do that, of course, and then being able to have the education as well as the network. To your point, like in Shreveport, yeah, there are probably people, and no, not probably, there are people that are financially pretty well off. And I'm sure that they're managing, to whatever the way that they manage, the same assets that you got out of. And they're doing it in a way that is profitable for them. It's probably in a way that it aligns with their mission, vision, and values. But it's probably not the same mission, vision, and values that you have for yourself, Brandon, and the things that you want to be able to do. So yes, in every location, you're going to be able to make it financially profitable. But if it doesn't align with what you really want to achieve, then guess what? Do what Brandon did. Go get some more education, build a network, and look in the locations that make the most sense for you. Trusting that you're enjoying today's conversation. And you know what? If you're tired of getting crushed by taxes and you're looking for greater freedom to be able to choose what you want to do when you want to do it, make sure that you go to firstgencp.com/going-long and see how we can help you today. Let's get back to the conversation. So you've been very contrarian. You've decided Shreveport's not the place for you, and you decided to go other places. You said that you got educated, you built a network. Anything else you would add on to that?
No, I mean, if you can go to any place in the country, like you can do your market research and run through the data points and be like, that's a good market, that's a good market, that's a good market. And that's what happened, right? We went, man, we learned how to research markets. Let's go find the top 10. And then we figured out, well, we don't have the time capacity to actually dive into 10 different markets. So we narrowed it down really to 2 markets. Okay. We're looking in Dallas, Texas, and the Panhandle of Florida, which would be the Panama City, Pensacola area.
Okay. And
those are our 2 markets. And the way that we're able to tackle those markets is through partnerships. The beautiful thing about large real estate syndications, it's a team game. There's always multiple teams involved in taking down a deal. So we have partners in Dallas, we have partners down in San Antonio, and we have our partner lives in the Panhandle of Florida. And they've built a network within those cities to execute a business plan on a property. So when we find a deal, they can take it down.
I was going to say, so Brandon, can you help just expand on your thought process for when you say partners? What does that mean for Real Focus Capital? Because sometimes partner can mean one thing to one company and another thing to another company. And as you're helping to educate the Going Long family today, I want them to really understand when you talk about partners, what does that mean to you?
So a good example is there's a team called Wild Oak Capital out there, Eric Nelson and his crew, and they found a deal in San Antonio and they brought that deal to us. So their team is just like us. There's a team, I think there's a team of 4, we're a team of 3. They run their own business. It's Wild Oak Capital. We run our own business, Real Focus Capital. They have a void in their business. Maybe they need to raise $2 million and they can only raise $1 million. And they go, well, who else can we bring on to help raise that other $1 million? Or maybe a team goes, man, we can do everything except we can't do asset management on this. Who can I bring in to do asset management? So they called us, they needed help raising capital. And at that point, we were in a really good position to raise capital for a deal. It comes down to a negotiation. Hey, if you raise this X amount of dollars, we'll give you this much percentage of the deal and you get a seat on asset management. So that's what we did. We took that deal down together, and that relationship was built just through networking on social media. They were on our podcast. We just hit it off, right? They had the same like-minded, chit chat. They're great guys. We're great guys. We said what we're going to do. They said what they're going to do. And we took the deal down, and now we're under contract on another deal. Same scenario. They had found a deal in Little Rock, Arkansas, not a market we were active in, but they were for 2 years.
Okay.
And that's where the partnerships really come to fruition. Billy, this is you don't have to be looking in every market, but you can have relationships in other markets that other people.
Can you please say that again? That's awesome. Please say that again, because this is really important. And I want everybody to listen to what Brandon's getting ready to say, because as you're looking to invest with partners, Brandon is talking about something that is absolutely key. Sorry. Can you repeat that?
You don't have to be in every market. You don't have to look in every market. You just have to have relationships with the right people that are looking in those markets. So maybe your team's only focusing on one market, but you've created relationships with 3 or 4 other teams that are looking in those other markets. And if you can prove to them that you can bring value to the deal, if they get a deal and they come to you and you say, hey, if you get that deal, I can do this for your team, and you can deliver on that, there's going to be more deals down the road. The mistake a lot of people make, and it really comes down to raising capital, Billy, is they say they can raise a certain amount and they can't. Yep. They think that raising capital. I just had a call with a young investor the other day who said they needed to raise $800,000 for a deal. And I said, when's the deal closing? He said, 10 days. I said, how much commitment do you have right now? Verbal commitment, soft commits. He said, $200,000. I said, you need to take your verbal commits and cut it in half. So you have $100,000 right now. Have you done a pitch deck yet? No. Have you hosted a webinar? No. How are people going to invest in your deal if they don't even know what it is? If you don't know what your business plan is, you think I'm going to pull $50,000 out of my pocket and give it to you on good faith? You need to prove to your investors that this is a business. You're buying a business. You're investing in a business. And if I'm going to give Billy $50,000, I know good and well he's going to execute the business plan and he's going to give me my returns. Yep. That's what investors want, right, Billy? They want to know who's running it and how am I not going to lose my money?
Yep.
And if you can pass those two, more than likely that person's going to give you that $50,000 and say, hey, go double my investment for me.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you were able to help that person from their hopium strategy, because that was not, it was not going to end.
I like that.
It was not going to end very nicely, because sometimes, and I worked 26 years in corporate sales and enterprise sales. And so there are many times when you have these kind of like strategies that are up in the air, or you have these hopium literally, and you're like, this is not going to work. And so sometimes you just need somebody to kind of pop the bubble and bring you down to reality and help you out. And I'm sure that you added a lot of value.
Yeah, my advice was, hey, you need a 30-day extension. You need a 30-day extension so that you can get a webinar together, you can get a pitch deck together, you can hone in your business plan and host a webinar, record it, and then show people the webinar that are in your network. And you have a chance to get that $800,000. But if you're closing in 10 days and you're at 200, man, it's kind of a miracle, I guess. And I don't see it. I just don't.
Yeah. No, I hear you. So listen, so talk to us really quickly, because I do want the Going Long family to understand Real Focus Capital, the typical investor that you're working with. Talk to us about what that process looks like, and then we're going to jump into the Going Long final 3.
Sure. Our typical investor really is family, friends, colleagues, close friends, people that we've had relationships with or pre-existing relationships. We do 506B across the board right now, which means we have to have a pre-existing relationship. We cannot advertise a deal. We get a deal, we have to go to our network that we've built. And that's where I would recommend a lot of people start. Because if you're looking to raise, that's the number one way into a large apartment deal is by raising capital. If you can raise $500,000, you're going to get a piece of that pie inside of a syndication, because that's what a lot of people need help with, is bringing capital to the table to get a deal closed. So look inside your network, go through your friends on your phone and say, man, who do I know that probably has some money sitting around that may be interested in real estate? And then more importantly, who do they know? So when you talk to somebody about real estate and you tell them what you're doing, and they express interest and say, okay, Billy, you're interested. Well, who else do you know that might be interested? Can I talk to them about it? And it's just about creating trust and relationships. And the most important thing is telling people what you're doing. There's so many people that try to hide what they're doing. Get out there on social media, get out there on your text messages, your email blasts, and start telling people, I'm in real estate. I'm raising capital for large apartments. Here's why I love real estate. Here's why I like real estate in comparison to the stock market. The stock market's great, but you got to diversify. Here's real estate. Here's some educational stuff. Here's what I've learned. And that's how you attract them. We talk about bringing people to us, not going after people. If you have to go hustle that $50,000, they're probably not writing that check. But if they're reaching out to you saying, hey, when's your next deal? They're probably writing that check.
So Brandon's very nice. I can tell you, they ain't writing the check.
They're not writing the check. You know that.
It's not going to happen. Brandon's he's being very nice here.
Yeah.
You're running behind people. There's no check being written.
Yeah, if you're chasing people,
no transfer being made, none of that kind of stuff. So,
no.
Listen, man, I can't believe we were already just blown through this conversation so fast. But here's the thing: we got to get to the Going Long Final Three. It's time to go to the Going Long Final Three. And I never ask any of our special guests. And today you're our special guest. I don't ask you the Going Long Final Three unless you tell me you're ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You're born ready, dude. I knew that was gonna. I knew.
I'm ready.
I know. Here we go. So listen. So we started with you over in Shreveport, Louisiana. The man from Canada. And so I'd like to bring it back to this side of the pond now, because this is my adopted home side of the pond, although I'm from Columbus, Ohio. Mm-hmm. I would love for you to share with us, what is your favorite European city that you've either visited or is still on your bucket list to visit?
I'm going to say Barcelona, because Billy, you sold me hard on Barcelona. Our pre-conversation, you told Barcelona hard. So
you're not supposed to tell everybody that.
You said oceans and mountains, and I said I'm in.
All right. Okay. All right. Cool. I guess I kind of sold it. It happens. I've been in sales for a long time. It's a reflex, I guess. So I appreciate that. So another vote for Barcelona. Surprise, surprise. Ding, 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 ding. We should have like a bell or something like that anytime someone says Barcelona. So the next thing is, so I have been very fortunate, Brandon, to be in touch with a lot of people who I deem to be very successful. Having you on the podcast today, I consider you to be someone who's very successful as well. You've continued to impact lives in a positive way on many different levels, through your collegiate sports, through your own private business today, and through the things that you're doing with Real Focus Capital. And I guess it's one of the patterns that I've seen recently, and hopefully you agree with me, that one of the things that people that are really successful, they, unlike most people, whenever they put their mind to something or they put a plan together, they go out and they execute the plan. And when they execute the plan, they tend to, unlike most people, they tend to get things right like the very first time, which allows them to continue to go faster and Brandon, it was just a joke. Yeah.
You okay, Billy? Jesus.
Check out the video version, guys. Brandon he was like, "Are you all right, man? You're good." No, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. So the thing is, look, successful people don't get things right the first time.
I was going to say, who is this person you're talking about? I got to meet this person.
No, I just like to have fun, and the Going Long family likes to have fun as well. So here's the thing, man. Really successful people, they don't get things right the first time. They probably make 20 to 50 times more mistakes than anybody else all the time. But there is something that is serious, and it is like that was kind of a joke, but this is not a joke. This is serious. So, like when people that are successful and they keep making these mistakes 20 to 50 times more, like when the ones that happen that are relevant mistakes or learning opportunities, they do one thing very, very differently. And this is no joke. Every single time that there's a relevant mistake, learning opportunity, call it what you want. Every single time they stop, they learn from the mistake. And then right thereafter, they take and put different strategies, tactics, and actions in place to minimize the probability of that exact same relevant mistake happening again. So as someone who is successful, Brandon, I don't want you to think about the mistake that you made or the learning opportunity that you had, but really what's the one lesson that you know that we need to hear today as part of the Going Long family so that we can minimize the probability of that major relevant mistake happening to us?
Pay for experts. That's the mistake that a lot of people make is they think they can do it on their own. And there's a shortcut. There's a shortcut to bypass those mistakes. And that's learning from the expert that already made those mistakes. And that's going to cost you money. That's mentorship and coaching. And inside a business, I think for years, it was tainted. The word coach inside a business was tainted because it's like, well, what do you mean you're a coach? What have you done? But in reality, there's people out there that have already done what you're trying to do. And if you pay them for their time, not only going to show you what not to do, but they're going to hold you accountable. It's kind of twofold, right? It's here's how to do it. Here's what not to do. But most importantly, we're going to talk every week. I'm going to make sure you do it. That's accountability. And that's what you're paying for when it comes to mentorship and coaching. And it took our team a few years to figure that out. And once we did, and we finally hired a coach, in 6 months after hiring that coach, we had our first deal. And it was almost, I don't know if we were too prideful, too cheap, whatever it was. I'm glad we pulled the trigger and did it.
So Brandon is sharing not gold advice, platinum advice. This is, or a recommendation or whatever. I was too proud. I was too cheap in the beginning, and this similar kind of thing. I mean, once I decided to do that, to invest in myself, it was through investing in a coach and mentor. Then you start to see results, and you realize, oh wow, you know what? I probably should have done that sooner. Everybody has different thresholds, of course, but making the step and moving in that direction. I appreciate you sharing that with us, Brandon.
I feel like people aren't afraid to spend $2,000 on a new website, but to spend $2,000 on some self-development and a mentorship and coach, I don't know. Maybe there's just not enough information out there on the value of coaching and mentorship, or maybe there's just too many fake coaches out there. Maybe there's too many people selling a lifestyle that have been burnt too many people. So it's tainted. I don't know the answer, Billy, but it helped us, and it can help a lot of listeners.
Yeah. And the same thing for me. And I'm sure it's a combination of a little bit of all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's definitely value in it. You have to know what you're looking for. Don't expect a coach to do the job for you. That's not a coach's job. They're not going to do it for you. They're just going to show you the path. You have to do the work. Like that's the important part. You must do the work. No one will do the work for you, but you don't have to do 5 times the work because you're trying to figure it out. You just have to do the work once or twice because you're going to see what you're supposed to do. You're going to try and do it on your own. And then you're going to go back and go, oh, okay, I guess the coach made it this way because they probably tried that way and the other way and the other way before. So,
right.
Which is awesome. So here's the last one, man. The last one, we'll get you out of here. I want you to help us feed the brain and leave us with one book that you would recommend to the Going Long family today.
The One Thing. What's it by? Who's it by? Keller. This one right here. This one right here. This one.
Gary Keller.
That one.
That's it.
Thing. I think I lost my mic, but
no, you're good.
The One Thing. It's just, I mean, everyone's getting pulled in many different directions with family, business, work. This thing just dials it into what's the one most important thing today that's going to make tomorrow easier.
Yep. That one domino, push that one, everything else falls down in place. That's it. Which is awesome. So we're going to include that in the show notes. And listen, Brandon, this has been super awesome, man. I knew the energy was going to be awesome from the very beginning. Love you telling us the story. Coming down 2004, being able to live out a childhood dream, be able to play baseball, head back home, come back, get a chance to coach. You recognize the patterns in both of them, being able to say, hey, look, the run was great, but this is not for me. I don't want to wait this long. I don't want to earn this little or this same amount for this amount of time. And there's something else out there. And so one of the things that we talked about is you continue to invest your time in quality relationships. And one of those quality relationships that you mentioned, you talked about meeting through 2D sports baseball, and being able to recognize that, hey, listen, there's some other things going on in real estate, and being able to understand the value that you can also have from other types of assets. You get a business partner, now you've got a third partner, and you all were trying to do things on your own. I was there, I've been there, I've done that. But then you realize, hey, listen, you know what? We've got to stop. We've got to start to collapse some time frames. You decided to invest in mentoring, coaching. You started seeing results right away. And today, as you're looking to add value to others, you continue to look to partner with others. You talked about Eric and his team, and you're doing that in order to add value to investors. And so I know that you talked to us also about what you're doing at Real Focus Capital. I know that you talked to us about the specific model that you had, and this is a great opportunity. And everybody in the Going Long family is like, Billy, just shut up, man. Just ask him the way to get in touch with him. So, Brandon, help us understand, what is the best way for the Going Long family to get in touch with you, find out more about what you're doing at Real Focus Capital, and, get in touch?
Brandon at realfocus.org. Our website is realfocus.org. And I encourage you to jump on, listen to our podcast, Guerrilla State Investing Podcast. And then we also have the From Middle Class to Millionaire Facebook group. That's the network we're building with the education. Not necessarily real estate specific inside that Facebook group, but a lot of real estate stuff, but really just trying to help the average middle class person see beyond their W9 trap that they're in. There's so many opportunities out there, and it's just the power of the pivot. You got to be able to pivot and take risks and take chances and believe in yourself.
Yeah, love that. So realfocus.org, Brandon at realfocus.org. And you've got definitely check out their podcast, Guerrilla Estate Investing, and From Middle Class to Millionaire. Is that right?
That's right.
Middle Class to Millionaire on Facebook. So check those out, guys. We're going to include them in the show notes, make it really easy. So don't stress yourself out. All you're going to have to do is click a link. Brandon, love your energy. Love the focus, and really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, man, for investing your time with me and the Going Long family. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Billy.
All right. Appreciate it. If you give me 15 seconds, we'll be out of here. Going Long family. Listen, Brandon left it here for you. He's giving you some great tactical steps that you can take. He's giving you a way to get in touch with him. Brandon at realfocus.org. You can go check him out at realfocus.org as well. He's talked to you about his podcast. Listen, most importantly, take today's episode, share it with somebody else. Talk about the things that Brandon shared with you today. That's going to make you a better investor. It's going to take the theory and start to put it into practice. And while you're doing all that, I'll be here preparing the next conversation. So until then, go out and make it a great day. And thank you very much. Trust that you enjoyed today's conversation. And once again, today's conversation was sponsored by First Generation Capital Partners. If you're an accredited investor and want to find out more about how we're helping accredited investors to gain their personal freedom even faster, go to firstgencp.com/going long.